This week's Torah portion, we're finishing the book of Vayikra. It's the book of Leviticus, the third book in the 5 books of Moses. We're going to end that with this week's Parsha. And what I want to do is talk about the journey that we've been on. We've been on a journey that took us from Passover, where the Jewish people came out of the land of Egypt, where they were enslaved, where they were constrained, where God took them out, brought them out into the desert. And that was in the month of Nisan. The zodiac sign for the month of Nisan is the sheep. And we were like sheep. We followed God. God was like our parent. We ran after God. God pulled us out. God saved us. God helped us. God gave to us without any merit of our own and took us into the desert. And we followed God into the desert. So we were like sheep. We were like little children following our parents. As we sojourned in the desert, we transitioned into a new month, the month of Iyar, which is the month we are in now. And the zodiac sign for the month of Iyar is the bull. The bull is characterized by being independent, by being individual, by being strong. And just like a child grows from being very dependent on their parents and running after their parents and thinking their parents are like the best thing ever, and we transition, we become teenagers, we become more independent, more sense of ourselves and who we are and what our strengths are and where we want to go and how we want to be in this world. And we do that as represented by the bull in the month of Iyar. We are about to transition from the month of Iyar, coming up this weekend, into the next month, which is the month of Sivan. And Sivan is represented by the zodiac sign of twins. And I'd like to suggest that twins represent two individuals who come together with love. They're so intertwined. They're twins who grew in utero together, and they're very much a part of each other, and they're very dependent upon each other, and yet they're individuals. So just like we went from the month of Nisan, where we were like sheep, and we transitioned to the month of Iyar, where we were like a bull, becoming independent. Now we're moving into this perhaps higher level of becoming like twins, where we have relationships with others, but we're also very independent ourselves. And so too, our relationship with God is like that. Sometimes we follow God, we have faith in God, and we believe and we know that God is good, and we're trusting God, and we're like little children. And sometimes we're independent, and we fight, and we holler, and we argue, and we're angry with our parents. And sometimes we're like a twin and we're in relationship. When we came to Mount Sinai, it says that we married God on Mount Sinai, that we became partners with God. And so too, like the twins are partners, we are partners with God as we come into the month of Sivan and we come to Mount Sinai, where we're going to receive the Torah from God. And the Torah is our document, is our guidebook for life, how to live in relationship to God. God who we are in partnership with, like the zodiac sign of the twins, where it's not, we're not individuals and we're not like sheep. We're independent and we feel ourselves to be strong, but we also want that relationship. In this week's Torah portion, we read about God saying to us, if you're casual, if you walk casually with me, if you turn your back on God, then God, so to speak, turns his back on us. And we won't have the relationship that we want to have. So we are enjoined, it says also in this week's Torah portion, to toil in Torah, to learn, to grow, to seek, to yearn, to have a relationship with the divine. Some of it's in nature, some of it's through our interactions in the world, and some of it's through studying the Torah and learning the Torah. And in the Torah it says is the soul of the Torah is God, and are we looking for God in the Torah as well as in other places. And so as we enter into the season of Shavuos, the holiday of the giving of the Torah, where we become partners with God, are we yearning, are we searching, are we looking for God? Because God is there for us if we turn towards God. And it says in the Torah portion that just like Adam, when Adam was first created and Adam was in the Garden of Eden, that Adam walked with God, so too, that's what we are looking to do. We're looking to be partners with God, to walk with God, that God will be with us, that we will feel the presence of God around us. And so as we transition from sheep to bull to twins, we get that relationship with God, and we marry God, and we become partners with God, and we get to be a holy nation. We get to be the people that are a nation of priests and a holy nation, unapologetic. The opposite of unapologetic is that we are confident, and we're proud, and we're happy with ourselves. We're happy to be the light unto the nations, to bring godly energy to bring godly light into the world through how we are and who we are and what we do and how we're connected to God through the Torah. And God promises us that if we do that, that God will walk with us as God did with Adam in the Garden of Eden. And that is our goal, to get back to a relationship that like the one Adam had with God in the Garden of Eden, where they strolled, quote unquote, strolled together. And at Mount Sinai, we as a Jewish people were united, we were one, perhaps back to the analogy of the twins, where they're separate but they're joined and they're very much a part of each other. So too, we search for unity amongst us as Jewish people. We look to toil in Torah, we look to search to find God in the world and in the Torah, to find God, because God is the soul of the Torah. And then we will follow in God's footsteps, we will be a holy people, and it says that God will bring us and we will be upright. Not upright arrogant, but upright understanding that we have a job to do in this world, that we have a mission to fulfill, that we're partners with God in bringing godliness into the world, and may we be successful with that as we march forward to Mount Sinai. One final thought about the Mount Sinai that we received the Torah at. And it says right before the Torah was given that the mountain sprouted with flowers and with grasses, and it was very beautiful. So too, we adorn our synagogues and our homes with flowers. And what's interesting is that, why flowers? What flowers got to do with anything? Perhaps we can take a message that I heard from Shlomo Fahi, that flowers represent something beautiful, something nice. So God is making the mountain filled with flowers to help us feel good about our experience, about receiving the Torah, that the small things that we do for each other, buying flowers for each other, washing the dishes, whatever it is that we do, these small things, the flowers on Mount Sinai were a sign of love. And we shouldn't minimize the small things that we do for each other, or the small things we do for God. And I wish us all a beautiful Shabbos as we end the book of Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, and may we be strong and strengthened as we march forward and receive the Torah in next week.